Alright, we are recording. So continuing in Viscera clean detail and again there. Where I opened the game up without having first start the music there. That is also part of the reason why I'd seen it talked about as a strategy. Burning the stuff with the arc welder, it no longer leaves mark. So it actually, especially for the larger things, can be a lot safer as far as not spilling and leaving marks everywhere. And it did look, apparently, yeah, I don't think I had any Sonic games actually on the list, so I put most, not the racing games, I do have a couple on Steam. And I might actually have more on GOG, I'm not. Actually, I really don't know. Has Sonic ever... There are some Sega games, I think. But it is also the whole... the Steam Controller API is so valuable. It's so useful that maybe that would not be a good idea to try doing it on. Okay, yeah, this is definitely... Just, I think I've cleaned everything. Well, there's plenty of stuff to move around, though. Right? I certainly have all that I need to care, but let me One thing, though, is I don't know how much I want to some of the Sonic games for them. But I also don't know what controller I'd want to use. It's like, I played through multiple times. Sonic Adventure 2 on the GameCube. Maybe I should look into, because they didn't make them. GameCube USB controllers that would work on the desktop. And I know that there are a lot of people that would disagree with me on this, but I do believe that the GameCube controller is actually a very well-designed controller. That there are certain ergonomic factors to it that you do not see on any other controller. I like the octagon cutouts around the joysticks, so it helps you with finding the cardinal direction. The A button being the primary button with everything with then Y and X above and up and to the right, and then B being down and lower as opposed to just a diamond shape. Because like A is what you're most likely to hit. It was designed around that. That makes a lot of sense. That really does. The C. I also like the asymmetrical layout, which is also the Xbox layout. I don't like the... It's funny, I like the DualShock 4's weight. Like, in my hand, I like the DualShock 4 better than the 360 controllers I have. The Xbox 360 controllers I have, but the actual layout, I much prefer the 360 controllers and the GameCube. But it's also neat with the C-Stick is how it is a very distinctly different stick design. It's like, it's a nub instead of having the full mushroom top. I don't know what you'd actually call that. The pad that your thumb rests on. Yeah, I do think that the game controller is massively underrated by a lot. That just didn't like the GameCube, thought that, oh, this is silly or whatever. And it's like, no, this is actually a very good design. Just because you don't recognize that doesn't mean it's not. Or just because you've not thought about it, which I think is more often the case, does not mean that it's not a good design. Okay, this is also very good. But this is another thing you can do well. can just burn away. Oh, well, okay, not the can. I was thinking you might not be able, but I wasn't. Turned into that. I'm not trying to clean up, Well, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to clean up. Yeah, so the paper thing will burn away, and that's a mop instead of having to move them. Yeah, I don't know if I'm actually supposed to be able to change this out. Make sure that I doubt there's any for the arc welder. Do you need this, though? Also need those. The liquid nitrogen is down. No, this. Oh yeah, going back to the YouTube stuff that I was talking about. And I did see the new subscribers to the other channel, the main channel. No, whatever. But the a way I can think of to describe an analogy I would use for the Jay's 2 Cents channel and how it's at times just silly, stupid stuff, but it's still interesting because they're interested in it. It's like, you know, sometimes that's all it takes is just for the person doing it to be interested. The way I would, the analogy I would use would be Devolver Digital, which they publish a bunch of games. And a very significant variety of games. I mean, it's like you have from the same publisher, Gris, which is a really beautiful game, as well as General Jousting. Yeah, we can just hang on that for a little. It is not so beautiful. But you need publishers like that that'll be like, we think it could be a fun game, okay, we'll support it. We think that this could be an interesting idea for a video, okay, we'll make it. It's like, there is a place for that stuff, and it is important for something like the internet. Oh, I know what. I don't know what. Figures that there are none up here. I need a drink. No. I keep expecting it to be near the door. I'm now just trying to think. What was... I can't think of any specific video, Jay's, that would... a good example. But what made me think about him was he did have a video where he was talking about... because he's a parent, and he has to, consider how he allows his children to be online. And he had one video talking about how his eldest daughter wants to be online and does want to do streaming. Not in necessarily a content creator type way like him, but, does want to engage. And, the different concerns he has concerning that, including just how some people, when they start doing something like that, having low view accounts, it crushes them. And it's like, it's one of those things where it's like you shouldn't take that too seriously. Like I don't. I would admit that in this video, but you don't want to take that stuff too seriously because it's like it doesn't matter in the long run. Are you having fun doing what you're doing? Yes? Okay, then keep doing it. But it's still, you do have people out there that would, if they aren't getting the engagement that they want, they may end up in a depressive spiral, but also might just give up. And it's like, no, don't do that. Because, I mean, true, I'm not a good example of this because things have never picked up for me, but in theory they could for you. It's like maybe you have a positive, enjoyable, entertaining personality. I don't, so nothing happens. Yeah, it's funny. I am such a boring person, it seems. Like, no one really wants to talk with me. No one... This is definitely true. No one around me really shares any of my interests, which is very annoying. I just feel it. Forgot to turn the light on that I am recording. But it's like, yeah, I do plenty of interesting stuff. Like what I'm doing right now, this is indeed interesting. You might not believe it, but it is. I can certainly get that Viscera clean detail isn't necessarily the interesting one for a lot of people. But, you know, some of the stuff, some of the videos I've done, like Alien Isolation, I talked about in the previous part, I think, about how I would actually like to, you know, come back to. It's like that's actually one that I could see a lot of people finding very entertaining. Just not with me. And I'm okay with that. I do it because I enjoy it. I don't do it because people watch. The same thing with the books I write. I don't do that because people read them. I do it because I want to know how the stories turn out. Which I know that there are people that probably don't understand. Wait, you write a book so you know how the story turns out? It's like, yeah. I mean, I might know what the ending is. That doesn't mean I know how I get there. In fact, in the story I'm currently working on, it is exactly I don't know exactly what I want this next chapter to be. I have an idea, but I'm not necessarily, I don't know if that's what I'll end up going with. But it's like the few chapters before it, those were ones that's like, from early on I would have known I was writing these chapters. I couldn't tell you what this next one's going to be about, but that's okay. I was like, I'll figure it out. I will, you know, just sit down, start writing, you know, something, and you know, just think about, okay, well, what is going to make the most sense to do here, and go with that. I do not suffer from writer's block, by the way. Like that is not the situation there. It's purely I just don't know what the next aspect of the story is. I'm not blocked, I just need to think of the idea. Whereas blocked, to me, is more, I don't know what word, even. It's like, nah, I don't have that. And even then, it's like, you know, I have an idea. That can work. I'm not sure how well I'll be able to do it, though, which is probably the reason I might not. But, yeah. It is totally a thing that you can know the beginning, the middle, and the end, but want to know how they all connect together. So that's what you need. But I mean, I guess that doesn't really apply with video game stuff, but it still is. And my point was that you could have a game that would be interesting. Like a while ago, I did see a streamer actually go through Alien Isolation. It's like, this game is 8 years old at this point, because it was in 2022. I think. Maybe it was only 7 in 2020, but it still was going through it. It's like, this is an older game, but it is still such a good game that it works nice to replay even today. And also an element of it was being kind of a chicken. And he played with his wife as well, and she's also a little bit of a chicken. So there was that, but it's, you know, like me, I'm not so much a chicken, I'm kind of used to this stuff, but with the heart rate monitor, it does make it more interesting, so you can see what it is It's like, even if I'm not talking, even if I don't have a face cam going, you can still know what my reaction is. You can tell when I'm under stress and when I'm not. So it's like, I do interesting things, but I myself am boring. Like, the most interesting thing about me as a person might be how boring I am. But I mean, just if you stop and consider the things I've been talking about just in the parts to these, like that, 9-9. I don't know if that counts. But it's like, I talked about making an applet for video game performance. I talked about making an applet for CPU thermal behavior. I have an applet for this, the heart rate data I collect here, that allows you to interact with the data. All three of these applets allow you to interact with the data. It's not just, hey, here are the results. It's a, hey, you want to change, you want this statistic? Okay, you can have that statistic. You want to group the data this way? Okay, you can group the data this way. And so on. The other two applets are a lot more advanced than the one for this data. But it's, you know, that's actually very interesting stuff there. But I'm boring. I do these videos, which this stuff is interesting. It's just not the care. The review playthroughs are interesting. And by the way, I paused because like that idea entered my mind and then like it. So I was just, it was the whole, you know, brain turnover kind of thing. But yeah, I'm just like, that's also something that's interesting, but I myself am boring. So I think some people do watch this just because they expect the gameplay to be interesting. And I hope it is. But it is also there. That's there in part just for transparency. It's like, I'm reviewing the game. You want to know exactly my reactions? Like, you cannot accuse me of being dishonest with my reviews, because it's like, you can see everything I went through. You can hear everything I heard, and you can hear everything he said. And things like that. That is interesting, and it's actually kind of surprising to me that I've never seen gotten traction like that. Like, I would also kind of expect, because I mentioned some of my PR contacts, because there can be the concern about media embargo and such, and it's like, you know, and I'll just mention I do this, or just, you know, when I'm trying to, you know, make a contact, I'll mention that I do this, and there's never a question like, wait, you record and share all of it? Because I really would expect some of them to be like that. Because, like, nobody does that. I'm the only idiot that does it. Yet no one else does. And somehow it doesn't provoke any reaction. I really would think that would. Because you have streamers that go through entire games. But, you know, they're streamers. They're not real. I mean, some of them might be both, but it's also, I mean, you don't see, you know, many dozens of hours in their gameplay, and then they write up a review as well. I do that. I write books, as I mentioned. I can do this stuff, which I declare, this is interesting, because nobody cares. What else do I do? Here's my basic work, which at the moment is not that interesting, though I applied for a different job that could be interesting. I'm actually going to try to look at more. Yeah, where I currently am employed, they reduced my hours, which is, I know exactly why, and I completely understand why. I've been doing QA, and it is a software company, and it's just, we've been working on a large project for quite a while now, and it's just that winding down. So it's, you know, like with video game development, when it starts winding down, you start cutting back on hours because, well, we don't need it. And so that's all that's going on there. But it's like, yeah, I'm gonna try looking for a non-contract position. Also one that I enjoy QA, but I write articles, I write reviews, I build these data apps, I make these videos. All those have to do with some kind of generation, with some kind of creativity. QA doesn't. And I kind of do want to be in that. I mean, I guess one way to put it is I were actually working at a game studio. I may have started there in QA, but I would want to get to be a designer or producer, you know, something like that. That is not just, I'm trying to break somebody else's stuff. Like, you know, I actually want to come up with some of the stuff that then somebody else will do. Or I can still put it in. You know, I wouldn't have a problem still doing that. But I'd want to be in one of those other positions, so I'm kind of looking for something that is closer to that. What I applied for, actually applied for 2 jobs. Somewhat similar though, both data analyst type of position. Which would be the applets I made. I'd be doing more stuff like that. Which is fine, and I would enjoy that, especially because it can be intriguing to try to stop and think, okay, how can I get more information out of this data? Yeah, one job I already got rejected from. The other, I actually had I talked about it earlier, the quasi-video interview thing. I don't know if these count. You know what? Yeah, I can look. Okay. Only white-green medical. And then the floor signs. So white-green would be these. I don't know then about the biohazard waste ones, but definitely these. That's okay. Yeah, these I apparently don't need. Here we go. These need to... But, do I have a chance of getting the job? I've got no idea. I really don't. But that's okay. I mean, I'm gonna try to look for some other jobs as well that I can apply for. That would also probably... So here's the funny thing. That the data analyst jobs probably actually, of all the things I do, pay me the most. So it's probably what I want to... And also I have the best chance of finding places that want to hire that, especially in my area. So there's that. Whereas the writing, there's not so many places that would want that. I mean, yeah, there are some, but it's like I don't really want to work for the, well, it's not really a local paper anymore, that's really only online, but they kind of have such, they're so politically bent that it's like, even if I agreed with it, the fact that I'm enough of a critical thinker, I wouldn't want to be there. It's like the agreement has nothing, agreement or disagreement with what their politics are is irrelevant. They're hacks, is my feeling with them. So I don't want to work with hacks. I don't care if they're going to pay me, I don't want to work with that. And I think that that is, by the way, a completely reasonable stand. That it's like, you know, you can disagree with somebody. Disagreeing with somebody is easy, and it can still be very respectful. But when the person is also borderline incompetent, now it's not so much fun to work with. And that would be my concern. And by the way, I make no illusions. I very well could also be incompetent. And it's like, okay, let me know. I'll try to fix that. But it's like, okay. But yeah, and some of the stories that I've heard about working with incompetence, though, it's... And I've dealt with some incompetence as well, but fortunately not too much in the grand scheme. But it definitely has been. More so, I've dealt with incompetence with, just dealings with people when I was co-worker. Some of the experiences I've had trying to get a job showed clear incompetence on the part of the HR people that have jobs that really shouldn't. I'm sorry, there was one in particular where some of it would have just been blustering, but some of it would have been, no, if it would have been part of me. I mean, if it happened today, oh, hell no. I am finding out that person's superior or just somehow generically contacting the company and saying, this is the experience this person gave me, and you need to not let this person do that again. Because the person insulted her own coworker in an email to a complete stranger. It's like, no, you do not do that. I don't care that if what she was saying was even accurate. And I know I've talked about that story before in videos how long ago now. Which, as I mentioned, I've been chronically unemployed before. And it sucks. It really sucks. And you start getting kind of angry and kind of desperate and definitely frustrated. And one thing that's super annoying is how basically you are just ignored. That's probably actually the worst aspect of it, is that they just don't care. I mean, it's like the whole, I applied for 2 jobs on Sunday. Both jobs I heard from on Tuesday. Both employees I heard from on Tuesday. One was a rejection, the other wasn't. But it's like, to me, that's unheard of. That's like, in all my experience, especially 2 different employers that both responded that quickly is like, what the hell? That does not happen. No. This is supposed to be in 2 weeks that you even acknowledge my existence. Okay? I mean, so because of that, and also, I don't know if I mentioned it in a previous part or not. I know I mentioned in one of the parts. I just don't remember if it was this one or previous. I will sit down and take an hour to write a cover letter, because I write a fresh one each time. And the whole, yeah, they only spend like 15 seconds or whatever just glancing over your stuff. And I can understand some of that, but it's still, I decided to, just put at the end of a cover letter that, I'd really appreciate hearing back, even if it's, negative, because I put a lot of time into it and I would like some of that returned. Which I get, that is, especially I put a lot of time into that, I'd like some return, that's pushing. But it still is, when you actually stop and consider what is being said there, it's like, yeah, you get the point. You get the idea. Maybe I could have said it better. But it still is to say, yeah, I mean, letting somebody know that we don't want you anywhere near our company doesn't take that long. So why is it so hard for places to do? Well, the response I got, this woman, and at least it was a woman's name, like an Amy or something like that, was basically that I should be thankful that, even though I was still being rejected, I should still be thankful that she got it instead of any of her coworkers, because they would have just rejected me for that. And it's like, okay, I don't care. I'm saying, I knew when I put it in there that there would be some assholes that would reject me for that, and it's like, yeah, so what? But it was also, she was like, but it was also unnecessary with me. It's like, how the hell am I supposed to know this? Because I, will tell our applicants that they're rejected, and even why they're rejected. It's like, and I'm supposed to know this how? I don't even know if the listing said that you would be the one looking at any of this, and I don't know you. Why would I have any expectation of any of that? Okay? But it's also, she says that, she normally tells applicants why she rejects them. She never told me. Like, the only reason mentioned was because of that little, PS I had on the cover letter. It's like, you know what I'm gonna read this as? I'm gonna read it as, that's exactly why she's rejecting me, she just doesn't want to admit it. And the whole, I understand your frustration. It's like, okay, so you're not gonna be an asshole? No, you're being an asshole. I mean, it's like, it's really annoying, some of this stuff, because it's like, yeah, these people are just lying. And that was such incompetence, though, because it's like, fine, you don't know how to write this letter rejecting whatever. Okay, that's, yeah, you probably shouldn't really be in this position, but being a bad writer like that's not going to stop most. But the fact she brought up her coworkers, and I was like, yes, they would have just rejected you for that. It's like, oh, you done crossed the line. I'm very serious. If I were her superior, which obviously I wouldn't have been, because that isn't a position I would have been hired for. But if I were, or just a superior for anyone in HR, and I learned that they said something like that, they're fired. It's like, nope. Nope, you are gone. Because I will never tolerate... I mean, fine, you want to complain about your coworkers amongst your friends, because that's the thing you do, whatever. You want to... or with your family, it's like, we get it. If you want to complain about me as your boss, I definitely get that. Go right ahead. But not to a stranger. You don't do that. That is so disrespectful. And it's like, nope, I'm not going to tolerate that. Get that out of my company. Because if you're willing to do that, I mean, what are you not willing to do that's disrespectful, that will undermine morale in the workplace? I need a drink of water, but there's actually another salient point to that. Actually, two salient points. But the one that came to mind was, I don't remember how long ago it was now, but it made the headlines that I don't remember if it was Tesla or SpaceX, some people were fired that had written an open letter that was derisive of Elon Musk, the company owners, the owner of the company. I put the plural on the wrong one. And it's like, okay, here's the thing. And people were like, oh, he's supposed to be in favor of free speech, but clearly he isn't. It's like, no, he didn't tell them they couldn't say that. He basically expressed that you can't, or rather the company, it might not have come down from him directly. That no, you don't insult your boss in public. It's like, you do that, you're fired. And that should be the behavior everywhere, by the way. Because it's like, if it's private, that's one thing, you're whining, everybody's entitled to that. But when you start insulting them publicly, that kind of disrespect leads to bad morale. And that is such a problem. Because bad morale can be very hard to correct. And it's just, I mean, because if you let them be there, then that's saying, yeah, you can say whatever you want about me. Okay, well, what happens now when you tell somebody, hey, I need you to do something? They're like, yeah, whatever, loser. I mean, it's like, how are you supposed to get it done then? I'm saying there needs to be that respect. And it's also worth noting, those, I don't remember if it was Tesla or SpaceX, but it's like perfectly within their rights to fire them for that. But notice, they just fired them. It's not like they blackballed them. I mean, hell, for what they apparently was saying, mocking him and such, it's like there would be places that would hire them for that. Which, those places, I doubt would have very good morale to begin with, but it still is, it's... And it's also, you don't mock him. I mean, if you want to disagree with him publicly, that might have been fine, but it's like, they were insulting him. At least that's my understanding. I never looked at this stuff, but it's like when you start compromising morale, no, that is completely just cause to be fired. Because that can so damage any group of people, any team, and any company. I mean, it's... So the thing I said about, if I were a boss, and people were to whine about me, I'd be completely okay with that. Not that that's necessarily what my strategy would be, but there are definitely some bosses, that's exactly what they want. They want to be hated because there's a certain morale booster there in that everyone hates you. And it's something that brings the various employees together. And it's like you see that, not that I have personal experience, but certain aspects of how training in the military works. Like, the sergeants training you are very hard on you intentionally. They want you to hate them. Because it does actually help with morale. And there's also the whole, you hate them, but you still follow them. That is actually very important, because you need to be trusted to do what needs to be done. You need to be trusted to follow orders, no matter what your feelings are about the person. It's like, when you start disobeying orders because you don't like the person, that's when people start dying, or that's when casualties start mounting that were not necessary. And now, true, military is very different from a private company, but it still is, morale is so important, and if you start letting that be compromised, it will compromise so much. Alright, I got about 3 minutes left. I figure I'm going to stop and then pull out this guy and start going. And that should work, because that will give me part 5 that I need. Alright. See you next time.